We knew for the growth of the club, we had to incorporate a senior squad.
First season, I think we was competitive and had some pretty good results in the course of during the season.
With each week, we just felt that something was building.
Very pleasing and gratifying that we got that opportunity to become a NPL club.
It was a rebuild stage. You know, we had to rebuild the team, bring in new players. I could just see that there was more progress to make.
We knew we had to beat Northcote, but the harder ask was Bulleen to beat Western.
At half-time, I had someone on the bench say Bulleen are beating Western United 2-0, and that was the result we needed.
If everything went right the year before, everything that could go wrong went wrong in 24.
Hello everybody, my name is Joey Lynch for Football Victoria out here at Petty's Reserve in Melbourne's East to put a spotlight on the newest member of the men's top flight for the 2024 NPL Victoria season. It is Manningham United.
2024, it was rough. It was tough.
All of us collectively didn't realise the magnitude of the jump.
We were absolutely in survival mode from almost the get-go.
What does promotion mean for Manningham on the park but also off it?
I hope it means a greater connection with our community, our local community. We've forged some good relationships with a lot of different businesses. On field, what does it mean? I go, once upon a time, we'll probably deem that cute little club that's up the road. We're no longer that cute little club. Yeah, it's a lot of work for us. We know we're up for it. It's going to be a great fun 2024. It's at 25 years too, so it's going to be really good.
Being a realist, consolidation was obviously the main thing. We wanted to consolidate, have a good season, a strong season, and in fact we're aiming to make the top 6. And we felt that we brought in a few players that would help us do that. We kept most of the squad, and so, you know, we just felt we've got the basis here, we bring in a few players and we get the job done.
I felt that the football club was ready to compete at that level. You know, we had a competent coach, we had great off-field staff. You know, we had the right people behind the scenes, and we felt we recruited really well. Obviously, the competition was a different ballgame compared to where we came from with VPL 1, but we were confident going into the season.
This team, I think, honestly, are going to be, you talk about league pass favourite, Josh, they're going to be right up there, because knowing what they're going to do and knowing their style under George Karkaletsis, I don't think they're going to take a backward step this season. I think they're going to go, let's just do it again. I'm not going to go out and say, because a lot of these teams that come up, they go straight back down, especially the smaller clubs. I have this feeling that Manningham are going to do the same. I have a feeling they're going to be in that relegation scrap, but I'm going to go on a limb here and say that they're going to survive this season.
The club had an amazing 2-3 years. You know, everything that we touched, everything we got involved in turned to gold. You know, promotion, the women's team, I can't remember, Club of the Year. Everything that could have happened in a positive happened. And I think this last year that, you know, the tide just turned a bit and everything that could have gone wrong went wrong in the men's senior team.
I knew that the step up would be massive. Every time we've gone up in the past leagues, the pace always gets so much faster. And I was really nervous about the players we had and, you know, were we able to keep up? And it was just a really challenging year for us. So yeah, I was a bit concerned. I was just hoping to stay up.
I think one of the hardest decisions was deciding whether we were going to play our brand of football and go out there and be courageous and see what happens. And I was sitting on the fence at the start of the season, and I thought, well, we could do either one or two things. We go out there and we're brave and we play our style of football, which is high possession based attacking football, or do we not try to go head to head with some of the big teams and change our approach and play a brand of football that's maybe not so attractive, defend, get men behind the ball and just play off a counter attack. And I think we went with the latter. And I think honestly, it would have held us in good stead if we had fit players on the park like we did the year before.
Being a big part of bringing players in And dealing with players and speaking to many players, we're up against it for two main reasons. One, most players and that thought we'd struggle. So players would rather play for less and be part of something that's winning more than losing. Losing all the time, not a good feeling. And the other biggest factor was the ground. Not many players like synthetic. Not many clubs wanted to play on synthetic. Very few players like playing on synthetic. It did cost us getting a few more experienced NPL1 players. But going into that season, we still thought, we believe we had a side to stay in the league.
A new season begins here at Jack Edwards Reserve. NPL Victoria is back, and tonight, one of the competition's powerhouses takes on some upstarts from the second division who've been promoted. It's a bit of a David versus Goliath encounter. Oakley versus Manningham.
Fulgaris with a risky header, and that's the last man you want to give the ball away to in transition. Adis cuts it in for Salmon. Alex Salmon! And Oakley hit the front. Decent work from Everson. No whistle. McGill. Guests. Valentini. Stefan Valentini! And finally he gets his goal. And that will wrap it up surely for Oakley.
Oakley away round one, and you think, well, it doesn't get much tougher than this, you know. But we're okay that day, you know. The scoreline sort of maybe flattered them a little bit, and I think we're really competitive, and it was a good start in terms of how we approached the game and how we finished the game. Of course, the result wasn't great, but I know there was a lot of people that were at the game that thought, hey, you guys are going to be all right this year, you know. And then things happen.
This is Sawyer, pulls it back where Bernardo strikes, following up his Lampard. It's 5 for South Melbourne.
Back now to Edwards, flat-footed slightly. Pass back inside Courtney Perkins to Peters! In! Great header! On the edge of the 6-yard area, Peters jumps up. He's got a brace. Port Melbourne are home, they lead 3-0.
I do believe the first corner of the night for St Albans. Oh, it's actually gone in! It's been tipped in by George Samaranis. We have a second goal for St Albans.
If you look at our whole structure, we really didn't have anyone that had any experience at that level. I certainly didn't, and, you know, no one really did.
Brilliant ball in from Amar Abdallah, and the captain contributes. Josh Bingham in on the goal scoring party.
I still say the biggest factor in us getting relegated was injuries.
Shut down, and there is a Manningham player on the deck. It is Giannis Georgopoulos.
Georgopoulos is forced off the field, but he's up, and that's a good sign, but he's going to have to take his leave of absence for the time being.
Looking for Dow Akol, who has 2 goes at the ball, and then he was collected, perhaps. Referee stopping the play for a head injury. Dow Akol, you can hear the connection from here.
Yeah, he's smacking the ground at the moment as well. Really hope he's all good, because the last thing Manningham needs is a defensive injury.
One of our centre-backs fractured his forehead. We had another centre-back get a ingrown hair that cost him, I don't know how many weeks, got infected, where we basically had a massive hole in his leg. Like I said, our third centre-back breaks his ankle in the last second of a training session while these 2 guys are out. I could go on, the list just went on. They were just players who were hardly ever been injured, missed 10, 12 weeks. Injuries that were meant to be 2, 3 weeks just kept rolling on, and it just kept going.
Unfortunately for George, his back line was decimated. He had, injury after injury after injury, and we weren't able to put our best players on the park. And that was probably the most impact was the defence.
Probably didn't have the depth as the other clubs did, right? So when we did have those unfortunate injuries, that was really hard to replace them, right? So we just had to utilise what we had, in our 23s or in our second tier. So, that was a difficult bit about obviously the season. There's certainly that depth, lack of depth.
It just made life really, really hard. Really hard, Look, what it did was gave a lot of young players an opportunity to play at the top level in the state, and And that was fantastic from a development point of view because we've got a couple of those players still with us this year.
As the schedule comes back around and Manningham get a rematch against the Cannon side who beat them 3-0 in round one. But this Manningham team barely resembles that side with so much change, so many injuries, absentees, young players coming into the mix. And there's even 4 changes from the side who went down 5-4 in a thriller against Altona Magic last week.
Remember, we're dealing with some teams that have a budget that dwarfs ours. And we have teams in this league that have a thick squad, a deep squad. We didn't have that luxury, and one injury hurts us, let alone the 8 or 9 that we had that year.
It's funny, when we went to NPL 1, I remember having a conversation with some of the 23s and say, boys, this is the year you're probably not going to get a run, right? The level you're going to be playing at's too high. And surprisingly, for it's the year the 23s got amazing runs. Right, lots and lots of our boys got blooded in, and then they played at the top level. In fact, they did really well, really, really well.
Which is a great story because that's always been our mantra, to have a pathway to the seniors. But a lot of them weren't ready.
We had 2 games, I remember this vividly, that we played a whole back line where at the start of that year, not one player had played senior football. That's how bad, decimated we were with injuries.
We had some really good results when we had a full team. On the park, we beat Avondale at home 3-0.
Ball fed short, Tuntus in some space. Not a bad ball in, it's gone all the way! James Tuntus wraps up the victory for Manningham. The substitute seals the win.
Leading South Melbourne, 2-0 in the first half an hour of a particular game, who ended up going, I think they ended up second that year.
We pushed the likes of Heidelberg in a couple of instances, Oakley, top tier clubs. But the difference was, obviously these clubs are at a different level, but the expectation was just to be competitive against that level.
So we had a lot of good moments, we had a few wins along the way.
If we kept the squad together and reasonably fit, just normal injuries like any other year, I'm very confident we would have still been in that league. So the circumstances were, I don't think will ever be repeated, personally.
But we just weren't consistent enough.
We weren't quite ready for it.
We were still in the hunt of, in the chance of surviving. So to take it that far with the team that we had, when I say the team we had, I'm not discrediting the players, but in terms of, not being able to get the same team out in the park week in, week out, I thought we did really well to get to that point, but it was just too much.
It goes in behind Golding. Savella. It's not a bad ball for Al Sadi. Back post, Everson doesn't get enough power on that ball.
I think maybe the Dandy Thunder game, I can't remember how late, but that was a real crucial game for us away from home. And we lost that game 2-1, but we had some really, really good opportunities that we didn't take that day.
Looking to run rings around Christos Theodorakopoulos as the ball is sent out towards Jay Romanovsky, and he's on the right side here. Romanovsky getting a glove to an open net. It will be a goal. Tanzil Fonza reclaim the lead. Ali Soleimani makes amends and gives Tanzil Fonza their second lead of the night.
That might have been the point where I thought, we're in trouble here.
Here he is again, Chinema, who's full of confidence after that double last Saturday. Speaking of confidence, Yusuf Ahmed. Chinema queuing up here, Stefan Zinni for his second of the afternoon. He makes no mistake. And Avondale are well and truly home and dry in this contest against Manningham.
With about 6-7 games to go, we played the second bottom team, St Albans, and we beat them 4-1 comprehensively at home.
Want to take a short here to Carter. Gets to the byline. Floats it in. Cole gets a head to it, and he makes it 4. Game, set, match, Manningham. They're having a party out here at Petty's Reserve now. And Dower Cole with his first goal of the season.
And I thought, okay, we're clear, because the bottom team, Moreland, was miles away. They were going down.
And the Blues are one step closer to safety.
They had, I think, had won 4 games for the year at that stage, something like that. And from that moment that we beat them, I think I'm pretty sure it was 6 games to go, 6 or 7. They didn't lose a game. So this is a side that won 4 games all year, then won their last 6, 7 games in a row. So, and that's what they had to do to stay up and us get relegated. So I still believed right up until, well, definitely after that game, I thought we're going to survive. But like I said, circumstances like that, then we started losing a lot of games late on. We lost, I don't know how many games at home with a last-minute equaliser or a last-minute winner. And then you start sort of thinking maybe our luck's out.
This is Corey Sewell for the Knights. Whips it in right-footed. Shaw back to Sewell. Dink to the far post, and it's Ivan Franic! Would you believe it? The right back getting on the end of the left back's cross.
Whilst we still thought we had hope right up until the second last round, I think it was quite obvious 4 to 6 weeks out that was likely that we would be relegated.
Is there time for one last chance? They couldn't work the give and go, Junior Carter and David Marabu, that time around. Seconds remain at Petty's reserve. It's delivered on late drama. Will Heidelberg find a way to snatch all 3 points? Can the Blues break back? It's Idara. There's numbers aplenty further afield. It's Sean Ellis. Can he be their magic man again? Can't believe what we're seeing at Petty's reserve.
But it's just felt like a season of almost, like nearly there, but not enough. It's probably the end for them. I mean, barring 9 points out of a possible 9, and Manningham and St Albans quite literally just falling to bits in the last 3 weeks of the season. Which, look, well, we've seen strange things happen in football, and things can change in an instant, but there's a lot that has to go right in the next few weeks. And I think that it is more than likely that they'll be playing in VPL 1 next year.
Let's just say a lot of friendships were tested. People respond in ways that we probably thought they wouldn't. I probably was feeling a lot of it as well. I might not be playing, I might not be kicking the ball, but I am the president of the club, so I definitely had a lot of weight on my shoulders.
As that is going to call time on season 2024 at Paisley Park. Goran Lozanovsky ends the season with 10 wins under his belt with the Magic. They'll remain in the competition, of course, following this season. As for Manningham, well, it's all set in stone before the game had started. They'd succumb to relegation.
If I had my time over, I definitely would have done a few things differently. I think I would have fattened up the coaching staff a lot more in terms of the strength and conditioning element, in terms of the physio, the knowledge and the people around the head coach. I would have done a lot of that differently. But we only know what we know, and I'm sure I made a number of mistakes as well because it was new territory for myself as well.
It was unfortunate that you get given a roster that you've got to pick at the start of the season. You don't have a window of recruitment until I think it's round 15 or 16 with only 8 games to go. It's very difficult to turn things around. And I think if I have any opinion as to whether the transfer window needs to be a little bit earlier, I think you definitely need to be a mid-season draft there to assist in those sort of situations. But yeah, I thought early on that we were in trouble.
It was chaos. It really was.
Before the end of the year, about 3 or 4 weeks out, and after a win, which is always important to do when you're happiest, the football department and I sat down with the head coach and said, told him that we'd like to go with him again.
I wasn't sure how it was going to go. I was overseas at the time. I'm thinking, what's going on? So, with Nick, we had a lot of phone calls and stuff, and Arthur over the phone. Eventually got the call to say, George, we're going to go with you. We want to stick with you. However, your staff, we want to have a really close look at the staff that work under you, and if we feel that if you are confident about bringing other people in that could do maybe a better job or better suited to the club culture or whatever it may be, then they gave me the green light to go ahead with it.
And then we had to go about building a squad, and that's never easy either, because, you know, once you're playing at the elite level, other people have noticed some of your players, so you're trying to hold on to some of these guys. There's still the chance of the 3 teams get promoted this year, so there's still a chance of us doing that, which is the objective, and that was the objective we put in front of the senior coach when we met that time, 3 or 4 weeks out before the previous season. And now we're just going through the motions.
I definitely did not know what I was in for.
2 weeks ago, and I said, worry about your own game, not anybody else.
From the kickoff, we're going to go in their fucking faces, aggressive, physical.
I just felt that I had to point out some home truths to a lot of the players.
Your